Hermetic philosophy, an esoteric tradition attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, has woven itself into the fabric of intellectual history for over 2 millennia. With roots in Egyptian and Hellenistic thought, Hermeticism influenced mystical traditions, medieval scholarship, Renaissance humanism, and even early Enlightenment ideals. Though often marginalized by mainstream philosophy, its principles of divine wisdom, cosmic correspondence, and spiritual transformation shaped some of the greatest minds of history. The origins of Hermeticism lie in the intellectual and religious syncretism of Egypt and Greece, particularly in Alexandria, where diverse traditions converged following Alexander the Great's conquests. The mythical figure Hermes Trismegistus emerged from this fusion, a blend of the Greek deity Hermes, associated with wisdom and communication, and the Egyptian god Thoth, the patron of writing, magic, and divine knowledge. Hermes Trismegistus became the legendary author of a vast corpus of mystical and philosophical texts, collectively known as the Hermetica. These writings, composed between 300 BC and 1200 AD, contained teachings on alchemy, astrology, metaphysics, and theurgy, methods by which individuals could achieve spiritual enlightenment and ascend toward divinity. The most significant section of the Hermetica, the Corpus Hermeticum, consists of 17 Greek treatises written between 100 and 300 AD. Among its central themes is the unity between humanity and the divine, asserting that the universe operates according to immutable laws that humans can access through knowledge and mystical practice. It also introduces the doctrine of correspondence, positing that the macrocosm, the universe, and microcosm, humanity, are reflections of each other. Outside the Corpus Hermeticum, the Latin Asclepius, another important Hermetic text, had a strong influence on medieval Christian mysticism. It detailed the concept of human divinity, suggesting that mankind possessed the potential to attain godlike wisdom, a notion that later resonated with Renaissance thinkers. As these texts disseminated, they shaped Gnostic, Neoplatonic, and early Christian thought, offering an alternative perspective on divine revelation that differed from both Greek philosophy and biblical tradition. However, the decline of classical learning during the medieval period led to the marginalization of Hermeticism in Western Europe, until its eventual revival during the Renaissance. During the Middle Ages, Hermetic philosophy was preserved largely in Byzantium and the Islamic world, where scholars translated and expanded upon the Hermetic corpus. While the majority of the Corpus Hermeticum was lost to Western scholars, fragments remained accessible through Latin, Arabic, and Hebrew translations, ensuring the continued survival of Hermetic principles. In the Byzantine Empire, Hermetic philosophy was absorbed into Neoplatonism, particularly through scholars like Michael Psellos, who explored its mystical dimensions. Meanwhile, in the Islamic world, Persian and Arab scholars integrated Hermetic thought into their studies of alchemy, medicine, and astrology. The Book of the Secret of Creation, often attributed to Balanas, Apollonius of Tyana, exemplifies this synthesis, blending Hermetic teachings with Islamic mystical traditions. During the Golden Age of Islam, thinkers such as Al-Kindi and Avicenna engaged with Hermetic and Aristotelian ideas, shaping the development of medieval science and philosophy. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad served as a hub for the translation and preservation of Greek and Hermetic texts, which would later influence Renaissance scholars. In medieval Western Europe, Hermeticism was largely relegated to alchemy and mystical theology, surviving primarily through Latin texts such as the Asclepius. Thinkers like Albertus Magnus and Roger Bacon explored Hermetic themes within natural philosophy, seeking to uncover the hidden forces governing the material world. Bacon, in particular, believed that scientific inquiry could lead to divine enlightenment, echoing Hermetic ideals of human transformation and cosmic unity. Additionally, medieval monastic and alchemical traditions preserved elements of Hermetic wisdom, merging them with Christian mysticism. However, Hermeticism remained on the fringes of intellectual discourse, until the fall of Constantinople in 1453, which would ignite a Renaissance revival. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 proved instrumental in reintroducing Hermetic philosophy to Western Europe. Byzantine scholars fleeing the Ottoman conquest carried ancient Greek manuscripts, including Neoplatonic and Hermetic texts, to Italy. This intellectual migration fueled the Renaissance, rekindling interest in the wisdom of antiquity. In 1463, Cosimo de' Medici, recognizing the importance of these lost works, commissioned Marsilio Ficino to translate the Corpus Hermeticum into Latin. Ficino, deeply immersed in Neoplatonic and Christian thought, saw the Hermetic text as an essential component of ancient theology, the Prisca Theologia, a tradition containing universal truths revealed to humanity throughout history. Hermeticism quickly gained traction among Renaissance thinkers. Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, in his Oration on the Dignity of Man, asserted that human beings possess the divine ability to ascend intellectually and spiritually, echoing Hermetic concepts of human potential. Giordano Bruno, a radical philosopher, further expanded Hermetic thought by advocating an infinite universe, challenging the constraints of Christian dogma. Hermetic symbolism permeated Renaissance art and mysticism, influencing figures like Leonardo da Vinci and Sandro Botticelli, who incorporated its esoteric themes into their compositions. Meanwhile, thinkers such as Cornelius Agrippa and Paracelsus merged Hermetic principles with alchemy and astrology, refining mystical traditions that would shape later scientific inquiry. Renaissance Hermeticism contributed to the broader intellectual movement of humanism, reinforcing the idea that wisdom and knowledge could elevate humanity toward divine understanding. This concept profoundly shaped philosophical foundations that would later influence the scientific revolution. Though often associated with mysticism, Hermeticism played an integral role in shaping the scientific revolution. Thinkers like Johannes Kepler, Isaac Newton, and Robert Boyle incorporated Hermetic principles into their scientific inquiries, blending empirical discovery with alchemical wisdom. Newton, for instance, extensively studied alchemy, believing that the universe operated according to divinely ordained laws, a distinctly Hermetic notion. Kepler similarly viewed mathematical harmony as evidence of cosmic correspondence, aligning his astronomical theories with Neoplatonic and Hermetic traditions. By the Age of Enlightenment, Hermetic philosophy faced growing skepticism. The rise of rationalism, empiricism, and secular philosophy led thinkers such as Voltaire and John Locke to critique esoteric traditions. However, remnants of Hermetic thought persisted in Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, and Romanticism, influencing secret societies and mystical movements. Despite its decline, Hermetic ideas continued to shape intellectual history, influencing philosophy, literature, and esoteric traditions well into the modern era. Hermetic philosophy, spanning centuries and cultures, shaped mystical and intellectual traditions from antiquity to the Enlightenment. Though marginalized in mainstream discourse, its principles of divine wisdom, cosmic harmony, and human transformation remain embedded in philosophical thought, reflecting humanity's enduring quest for truth and transcendence.